The next video for this section is related to a couple different examples for metrics practice with visuals and industry applications as well. And I will go over most of the slides in this section, but I do encourage you guys to spend a bit more time looking for some of the reference on the next slides, and sometimes related their different metrics with the examples that given in the textbook as well. So in the next slides, it actually I give you two different reference sets should be very helpful if you are more interested in getting into details about all these different metrics, applications, standards, and so on and so forth. The first one is the benchmark of current business practice in measures of project management performance and value. And the second one is NIST's reports, and actually give you a list of all the bullet points in terms of how and what standards has been established throughout different industries. How metrics relates to project different areas. If we're looking at project areas as three circles where we have a project goal, and we have the project's actual activities in the execution phases, and also we have the products related areas in the third circle in this slides. There are actually most of the metrics were actually related to our project goals, right? And if you're looking at the value, the schedule compression, risk management, requirements management, and there are also something that is actually overlapping, which is actually between those areas that has been overlapping throughout all the three different areas. And there are two different items, if you can see from these slides, where the first one is the requirements management, and then the second one is the defect metrics. So the requirement management is critical, as we talked about in the scope topic for this class, where if we do not have a good understanding for your requirements, oftentimes the project ends up as a failure because you're trying to deliver something which does not really meet the expectation from a user standpoint of view, right? So the requirements management relates to project goals, also is going to relates to how we're going to execute the project. At the same time, actually it also relates to the product stability and the integrity. And the second one, defect metrics, and this actually talks about how we're going to control the quality or the actual defective, the number of defects within the projects is also matters throughout all those different three areas. And when you are looking at different metrics, and we have introduced a couple different ways for us to come up with different categories and how each of those metrics should match up with one of the management functions and so on and so forth. And so these slides give you another view looking at when we actually put a metric applications in project management and how it relates to the different project areas. All right, so this is another view for us to looking at how metrics can be applied. The next slide actually shows one of the staffing profile, and this is actually one of the measurements in terms of how much people or staff members we have over the time. All right, and so if you're looking at the different color bars, the green color refers to planned technical staff members, and the blue bar refers to actual technical staff bars, a number of staff members. And by looking at the height of each bar, you can actually get a sense about how much we actually staff versus how much we planned in there, or how many staff members we planned in the first place. Velocity diagram. This one actually is another interesting view. Looks at how much features that we have been accomplished as time goes by, right? And so the blue bar, blue lines actually shows you the number of features that has been completed, which means that over the time actually you accomplish more and more as time goes by. And the red color shows the number of features left. It actually hypothetically, by the end of the project lifecycle, you are supposed to complete all the project features, which means actually by the end of the project lifecycle, you should have 0 features left, right? And then the pink color actually shows you the total number of different features. All right. Okay. So earned value management, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this specific slides because actually we're going to spend much more time within the next couple of weeks to talking about what SP and CPI stand for and how we're going to calculate them and how we're going to interpret these results. Okay. Next, on the management dashboard. If you're looking at this is just like a common dashboard as your dashboard on your cars, it has a very straightforward design which actually give you a holistic view about how your car is operating and what speed you're running at and how much gasoline you have and so on and so forth. So we want to have some dashboard like this for us to present the status of a project, the progress of making, and some risk factors and the cost and schedule issues. So if we can actually consolidate all project performance in such a dashboard, and we can actually easily present the projects to our management, and they can get the point right away, right? So that is the underlying principles for us to develop a certain type of dashboard within project management. Okay, this is Virginia Department of Transportation project management dashboard. Looking at this dashboard, what are some of the different things that you can get it right away from over here? All right, and so this was I believe this was the dashboard prior to the 2005-2006. Looking at the new dashboard, actually they're redefined after 2006. Did you see any differences over there? And why do you think they need to make such a change? And also, if you're looking at the categories for the dashboard on this slide, you can see actually they also dropped some of the categories, add some new categories as well. Okay, and there is always some design principles that's guiding the design of the dashboard. One of the very important characteristics for dashboard is presents the key information, which is what the KPI we talked about before in project management, and present the KPI visually and present the KPI in a straightforward approach where people can get it right away. All right, if you're looking at this dashboard, actually you're using instead of bars, they're using the meter type of approach, right? And that is actually giving you a better visual presentation compared with the bar charts. Okay, in project management, especially in MS project, actually we can generate a lot of different charts, different performance dashboards based on their selection of the different categories. So we can have the resource allocation charts, timesheet stats charts, and forecasting comparative charts, and earned value chart, and so on and so forth. So we will actually get some time to work on this in the second half of the semester. All right. In this, so there's much more different examples for you to look at. Remember the balance scorecard we talked about before, and this is actually a couple of different examples looking at. We will have to have a balanced set of metrics instead of solely relied on either cost or schedule, right? If you're looking at what we say balance is, we need to have a metrics measuring different aspects of project management. In these examples, we should have metrics measuring financial performance, internal performance, customer performance, and employee growth, right? So that is what we call the balance. All right, and much more examples for the different visual presentations of our project dashboard. All right, looking at business intelligence and the market trends related to where we are and where we are going in the project management in the design of the metrics or the application of the metrics, right? And early on, prior to the 1980s, majority of the dashboard or the selection of the metrics are pretty much static, right? And as time goes by, we started to have the data warehousing, data model, and dashboard, and then predictive analysis, content analysis, event monitoring, and eventually actually we have the big data right now, and which is trying to using large scale databases and to come up with some predictive or the forecasting models and to capture the trends and to forecast what's going to happen in the future. All right, types of different analytical approaches for us to apply when we're trying to evaluate project performance. And so we can, based on the different levels, right? If you're looking at the competitive advantages as a y-axis and the degree of intelligence on the x-axis, you actually can match up all the different levels of analyticals with the actual answers or questions they're trying to address in their from an analytical approach perspective, right? What is predictive analyticals is actually trying to capture what it will happen next, right? And the forecasting analytics is trying to answer the questions, what if these trends continue? Okay. So the next one, analytical measures versus the management metrics. Remember what we talked about in probably in the first half of this lecture recordings. Actually, we talked about there are some of the metrics will help you to assess where you are, how much progress you can be making, have early identification of problems, and actually help you to find the solutions to the future problems and dealing with those issues. And the management metrics is trying to identify a condition. All right, so it will actually either raise or lower the confidence and concern. And if problems are indicated, there's no way to isolate the cause. It's actually just trying to identify a condition or a problem or an issue. It's actually not saying that we are going to come up with a solution right away, but that will be the following steps. In analytical metrics, what it's trying to do is to identify the cause of issue, risk, potential, impact of problem. What that means is actually it's trying to use a problem-solving approach to trying to address issues by looking at root cause, by assessing the risk potentials associated with this risk event or risk issue, or identify the impacts associated with these risk problems. All right, so it's actually focused on the cause rather than effects. All right, and I think that's pretty much most of the information that I want to present over here. And of course, there are also the high performers using analytics, and analytics is what we're doing in our business right now. And actually, we have to use analytical approaches to address a lot of business problems to find the business solutions. And the top performers in the industry always have a great analytical orientation than low performers. All right, if you're looking at Google.com, you know how to come up with the ranking systems for the people who put up advertising kind of banners or bars on their Google.com. When you type in searching for some business in general, actually they're going to pop up the list of different organizations who are actually providing the service. In the very first one or two or three, actually not necessary to be the best performers in that category. It's actually they're going to search with your keywords that they put in the Google search engine and try to match up your search with the best matching company, right? So that was one way to looking at this one. This actually involved a lot of analytics. In the old times when Google was not available, people using Hotmail and people using live.com and people using yahoo.com and search for business and search for different companies, actually those search results was not even close to what we're getting from Google right now. And Google actually has been really one of the pioneers in using analytical approaches and to matching up their search results and optimize the search engine performance. All right. So big data, definitely that is what we are getting to, and for I believe for the next 10 years or even 15 years, we're trying to utilizing the available data sources. Oftentimes is a huge amount of data and try to make them to tell something, tell some story, and help us to make a very informative decision and making. And okay, so looking at some of the different examples, Marriott has been a very successful business in the revenue management, where revenue management was pricing their available hotel rooms in Marriott scenario, and based on the seasonality, based on the demands. And so when their demands goes up, generally speaking, the risk goes up. And of course, it has to make some revenue management using predictive models to predict exactly what sort of demands is going on, will be happening within the next quarter. So for instance, next quarter, next half year, or even next year. That is one of the very powerful tools, and the airline companies also has been very successful in using revenue management to pricing their airline tickets as well. Walmart supply chain analytics, they've been done a great job, set up the infrastructure for supply chain, and cross-docking was one of their first concepts that has been introduced by Walmart. They've been using a lot of analytics to routing their trucks, routing the delivery of their products. Progressive pricing risk. A lot of insurance companies right now are actually giving you the promise saying that we are going to finalize your insurance claim on the same day, right? So what it means is actually they're going to offer you their solutions for your claim. For instance, if you are involved in a traffic accident, and if you are not at fault, and they're going to investigate the case, and they're going to take all the different measurements, and eventually they're going to determine whether the claim that you reported over to insurance company should be covered or should not be covered. And what this matters is actually this matters a lot when it comes to the insurance premium. When you apply for insurance from insurance company, and they're going to determine how much that they need to charge you. A lot of times the premium they're charging for your specific scenarios depends on, first of all, the age, the driving history, whether you have any accidents before, and whether you have taken any defensive driving courses before, and of course the locations that you're going to store your car based on the zip code. And I believe they also have some other algorithms, and they're trying to doing the calculation, compare your profile against the other profiles in the databases, and then try to match up with the best quote and based on the information you provided to the insurance company. So that is a sort of pricing risk that they actually have within the insurance business, where if the price too high, then potential customer will get around and pick up the next insurance company, and if the price too low, then oftentimes they're going to lose money because actually they're not even getting enough premiums to cover their insurance claims and from the customers, right? And so they have a lot of different other companies has done great jobs in using analytical approaches to manage the business or manage the projects. And I encourage you guys to actually doing a little bit more research in this regards, because and by the end of the day, if you're going to working for a good company, and they need to have some competitive advantages, and right now we are seeing more and more companies getting competitive advantages because they're actually using analytical approaches to analyze the process, analyze the consumers, analyze or apply the high technology to compete with their competitors in the markets. So there are a lot of things going on in this regards, and I do encourage you guys to look for more opportunities in this area. Alright, I'm going to jump to the next slides of this next notes with some additional concepts for reference point. In the Murphy's Law, and this is actually one of the things probably you heard or you have not heard before, but it talks about anything that can go wrong will go wrong. What does this mean for project manager? If you're looking at, we are always talking about the good practice in project management in this class, but oftentimes we are human beings, we make errors, we make mistakes all the time. Sometimes if we make a mistake, it's better for us to correct those errors and mistakes in the first place rather than wait. I hope it's not going to catch us, right, in a second, for another time. Because according to Murphy's law, what it means is that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. The mistakes you made in point 1 will always catch you in point 2. That is what means that whenever we as a project manager, we found this issue, there's a problem in the planning phases, or there was one of the user requirements that we feel not very important, and so we did really consider it in the first place. When you say this, when you feel this, okay, and the very first point that you should ask yourself is what you should do instead of just let it go by. All right, so that was Murphy's law, how it applies to project management. Portfolio management is a centralized management of process management technologies used by project managers and project management office to analyze, collect, and manage a group of current proposed projects based on numerous key characteristics. Okay, portfolio management is another important concept where, other than program management, portfolio management is dealing with a group of projects that are related, and we were actually trying to utilize a centralized process so that we can actually optimize the utilization of our resources. What for methods? It is a sequential design process often used in software development process in which progress is seen as a flowing steadily downwards, like waterfall through different phases. And if you still remember what we discussed probably last week or 2 weeks ago about the rolling wave design approaches, right? And it's the sort of like same way where once you finish your first phases and you actually get a little bit more deliverable generated from that phases, and you start to actually looking at the second phases. And what for is the same is in the same logics where we have a sequential design process. Okay, and most likely we're going to use the waterfall approaches in software development or IT business, and for other industries such as construction, such as education or gas and oil industry, and we actually do not find this approach as useful as in the IT industry. All right. Okay, so I think actually I tried to get over a lot of different slides. Actually, I think we have around 52 slides for this week's lecture notes. All right, and if you got a chance to review all the 6 recordings, including this one, and you should be able to actually already gather a sense about what is important, what is not important in metrics, and what we should deal with different metrics, and how metrics applies to project management, how it's connected to management, executives, and the process, and the consumer. All right, and we do not have many mechanics per se for today's or for this week's lecture, and I'm going to actually give you a list of the vocabulary that I would suggest you encourage you guys to review in the coming week, in the prior to midterm exam, which will be in 2 weeks. All right, and other than that, I think actually we probably spend around a little bit over 70 minutes or 65 minutes in recording this lecture, and you should actually spend another 1 hour, 1.5 an hour actually getting involved in the discussions for different topics. I'm going to send the information for how we're going to participate in the virtual classroom, and by tonight. And hopefully tomorrow I will be able to see most of you guys, or all of you guys, in our virtual classroom discussion. All right, and so tomorrow the virtual classroom will start from 5 to 6. Okay, I'm sorry, 5 to 6:30. And because we already, if you really finish all the lecture recordings and audios, and I believe you already spent more than 60 minutes reviewing course materials. So if we can utilize the next 1.5 hours effectively, and to facilitate some of the discussions for different topics, or different, even related to the team projects you're working on, and then I think that we have some quality time well spent in this class. All right? Okay.